"We get it, Dad," she said softly. "Sometimes love isn't enough without respect. Out of the mouths of teens, they say." My 16-year-old daughter had summed up 18 years of marriage in one sentence, and she was right. Love without respect isn't truly love. It's just routine, and routines can be broken. Hi, I'm Julia. They say life changes in small moments, and for me, it happened on a Tuesday morning. I stood in front of my bedroom mirror, debating whether my navy blazer was too formal for the interview. My hands trembled as I tried to fasten the necklace Jake had given me on our 10th anniversary. "Here, let me help," Jake said, stepping behind me. His steady hands calmed my nerves. "You're going to blow them away, Jules." I smiled at all reflection. Even after 15 years together, he still knew exactly what I needed to hear. What if I'm making a mistake? Emma and Liam are used to me being there after school. "They'll adjust," Jake interrupted gently. "Emma's 13, practically running her own social life. Liam's not far behind. The kids are proud of you. We all are." Working part-time in tech had been my choice when the kids were younger. My $50,000 salary wasn't much compared to Jake's $150,000, but it gave me the flexibility to be there for soccer games and piano recitals. I'd felt a persistent longing to do more, to be more. The interview exceeded my expectations. Walking out of the sleek office building, I couldn't stop replaying it in my head, the confidence in my answers, the way the panel nodded at my project management examples, and even the laughter I'd sparked with a story about debugging code while helping Emma with her science fair project. My phone buzzed with a text from Jake. "How'd it go, superstar?" I was about to reply when an unknown number called. My heart leapt into my throat, racing a little. "Hello? Is this Julia Bennett?" 20 minutes later, I sat in my car, tears streaming down my face as I typed a message to Jake. They offered me the job, $150,000. I can't stop crying. His response was immediate. "Yes, coming home early. This calls for a celebration." That evening, Jake ordered takeout from my favorite Italian restaurant. Emma made a congratulations banner with her art supplies, and Liam insisted on setting the table with our fancy Thanksgiving plates. "To Mom's new job," Liam toasted, raising his glass of sparkling cider. "To new beginnings," Jake added, his eyes brimming with pride. "And to Mom's amazing journey," Emma said, squeezing my hand under the table. "Does this mean you'll have your own office with a view?" I grinned. 13th floor. "Will you still come to my games?" Liam asked, twirling spaghetti on his fork. A pang of guilt flickered, but Jake jumped in. "We'll figure it out, buddy. Maybe I can come to more of 'em. How's that sound?" "Really?" Liam's face lit up. Later that night, as Jake and I got ready for bed, I couldn't stop talking about the future. It's going to be tough at first, juggling everything. "We'll handle it together," Jake said, pulling me close. "That's what we do." I nestled into his embrace, feeling both excited and safe. I still can't believe this is happening, after years of playing it safe and putting my career on hold. "You've earned this, Jules. You've always been brilliant. Now the world gets to see it too." I drifted to sleep dreaming of commutes and deadlines, business lunches and team meetings. Most of all, I dreamed of making my family proud, of showing Emma and Liam that their mom could succeed while staying present in their lives. But beginnings are funny things, so full of promise. The cracks don't appear until later, when it's almost too late to repair them. "Hi, it's Jake." Some decisions in life are easy. When Julia landed that job, stepping back from my own career wasn't a question. The math was simple. Her new role matched my $150,000 salary, and someone needed to be there for the kids. Why not me? The morning of her first day, I found Emma and Liam at the kitchen table surrounded by markers. "What's the masterpiece?" I asked, pouring coffee. "A good luck card for Mom," Emma said, carefully sketching what looked like a superhero in a business suit. "See? It's Mom conquering the corporate world," Liam added, pointing to a speech bubble. "World's best mom and tech expert." When Julia came downstairs in her new suit, she teared up reading their card. That was the moment I knew we'd made the right choice. The kids weren't just accepting the change, they were embracing it. My boss was surprisingly supportive when I asked to reduce my hours. Family first, he said, adjusting my salary to $100,000. The code will still be here at 3 p.m. The transition wasn't seamless, but we found our rhythm. I learned to arrive 15 minutes early for school pickup to snag a decent parking spot. Emma's violin lessons were on Tuesdays and Thursdays, while Liam's soccer practices meant muddy uniforms to wash every Wednesday and Sunday. "You're actually better at this than Mom," Liam said one evening as I helped with his math homework. "You explain things differently." "Mom's great at math, buddy," I replied. "She just has her own style." Julia embraced her new role wholeheartedly, coming home energized with stories about presentations and projects. Some evenings, after the kids were in bed, we'd sit together on the back porch with a glass of wine while she shared her latest challenge. "I can't believe how supportive you've been," she said one night. "Most men wouldn't handle this so well. Some guys feel insecure." "I'm not most guys," I laughed. "Seeing you happy makes me happy." Of course, the chaos had its moments. One morning, Emma realized she'd forgotten her science project just as we pulled into school. The panic on her face was priceless. We raced back home, grabbed the solar system model, and returned just in time for first period. Now it's a running joke between us. "At least you didn't leave the entire universe behind today." I even started coaching Liam's soccer team. Half the time I had no idea what I was doing, but the kids didn't care. They just wanted someone to cheer for them and hand out orange slices at halftime. Life settled into a new rhythm. Julia's career soared, and I found unexpected joy in being more involved in our kids' everyday lives. The little things, helping with homework, hearing about school drama over dinner, bandaging scraped knees, added up to something meaningful. Looking back, I was proud of us. We were making it work, breaking the mold of traditional roles and showing our kids that marriage was about supporting each other's dreams. If someone had told me how much things would change, how success would slowly erode what we had, I wouldn't have believed them. But that's the thing about change. It's often so gradual you don't see it happening until everything is different. And by then, you're living in a completely new story. Success changes you. That's what people say, but you never notice it happening. It's like looking in the mirror every day. The shifts are too subtle to see until one day you don't recognize yourself. 3 years into my career, I was earning $200,000 annually. Jake was still working reduced hours, bringing in $100,000 while managing the kids' schedules. I can pinpoint the exact moment I began viewing our situation differently. I was reviewing our monthly expenses, something I'd started doing obsessively, when I called out from my home office, "Jake, did you approve Emma's school trip to Washington? That's $1,200 and we didn't discuss it." He appeared in the doorway, drawing his hands with a dish towel. "Jules, we talked about this last week. You were on your phone during dinner, remember?" "Well, we should have a proper discussion about these things. It's not like you're the one earning the money for these trips." The words hung in the air, sharp and cutting. Jake's face tightened, but he didn't argue. He just turned and walked away. That should have been my wake-up call, but instead, it became our new normal. The comments started small. A sigh when he mentioned upgrading the kids' phones, or a pointed remark about his Amazon purchases. "Would you spend like this if it were your money?" I'd ask, as though his contributions to our family had somehow lost their value. One evening, I came home to find Jake had bought the kids new iPhones. "Are you serious?" I snapped. "What 14 and 16-year-old needs such expensive phones? Their old ones were fine." "They barely worked," Jake replied. "And besides, I used my salary." "Your salary?" I scoffed, my voice cold and biting. "You mean the $100,000 you make while I'm out there earning twice that?" "Mom?" Liam's voice broke through the argument. He stood in the hallway, his wide eyes brimming with confusion. "Why do you always talk to Dad like that?" I froze, seeing my behavior reflected in my son's expression, but instead of apologizing, I retreated to my home office, slamming the door behind me. Work became my escape, my justification for everything. Missed dinners, harsh words, and late meetings were all excused because I was the breadwinner. I started noticing the same tone I used with Jake creeping into how I spoke to male colleagues. Condescending, dismissive. "Your husband is so lucky," my coworkers would say. "Most men wouldn't be okay with their wife earning more." I'd smile, basking in their admiration, while conveniently ignoring how we got here. I complained to my sister over lunch. "Jake has no ambition. He's happy just coasting while I'm making serious money. Shouldn't he want to contribute more?" The kids began to avoid me. Emma waited until Jake was home to ask for things, knowing I'd turn every request into a financial interrogation. Liam stopped sharing his soccer stories, likely tired of my distracted responses as I checked emails during his excited recaps. One night, I overheard Emma talking to Jake in the kitchen. "Why does Mom act like she's better than everyone now?" she asked. "Your mom's under a lot of pressure, sweetheart," Jake replied, always defending me, even when I didn't deserve it. "She's different," Emma insisted. "It's like she forgot who she used to be?" Standing in the shadowed hallway, her words hit me with startling clarity. For a fleeting moment, I saw the person I'd become. But facing that truth meant acknowledging things about myself I wasn't ready to confront. So, I did what I'd become so good at. I buried the feeling and threw myself back into work. The next day, the woman who once cried tears of joy over her family support was gone, replaced by someone who measured love in dollar signs and equated success with a paycheck. I was blind to the cracks forming in our foundation, deaf to the warnings in my children's silence. They say pride comes before the fall, but sometimes you're already falling. You just don't realize it. You just haven't hit the ground yet. The breaking point came on an otherwise normal Thursday night. I was helping Liam with his science project, while Emma practiced violin upstairs. Julia was supposed to be home by 6 p.m. She'd promised to join us for family dinner, a rarity these days. By 7:30, the lasagna sat untouched in the oven, cold. The kids had already eaten, disappointment written all over their faces. Then my phone buzzed, a text from Julia. "Having drinks with clients, don't wait up." I stared at those 6 words, stunned. 15 years of marriage, reduced to a casual afterthought. The kids' voices echoed in my mind. Is Mom coming? Did she forget again? Does she even care? At midnight, I heard her stumble through the front door, the scent of expensive wine and arrogance following her. She was struggling to take off her heels when I stepped into the hallway. "Oh God, Jake, why are you still up?" she said, laughing a sharp, dismissive laugh she'd picked up recently. "Hovering as usual." "The kids waited for you," I said quietly. "Liam wanted to show you his science project, the one you've been too busy to hear about all week." She waved a hand dismissively. "He understands I'm busy. Unlike some people, I have actual career responsibilities." Something inside me snapped. 18 years of support and 3 years of mounting disrespect collided all at once. Actual responsibilities? My voice was low, strained. Like being a parent? Like being a partner? Or are those beneath you now? "Don't be dramatic," she scoffed. "I'm providing for this family." "Your success?" I shot back, my voice rising. "You mean the success built on my sacrifice? While I scaled back my career, ran the house, raised our kids, you've used that success to tear me down for the past 3 years." "Oh, please," she said, rolling her eyes. "Don't play the victim. You chose to step back." "I chose us," I said, the words spilling out. "Our family. Meanwhile, you've become exactly the kind of person you used to despise, someone who struts around treating their spouse like an assistant, speaking to me like I'm some charity case you're supporting." "Well, if the shoe fits," she retorted, smirking. "Mom? Dad?" Emma's voice cut through the tension. She stood on the stairs in her pajamas, Liam just behind her, both looking frightened. "Go back to bed, kids," I said softly. But Julia interrupted. "No, stay. Since your father's having a meltdown, you might as well witness it." "Oh, That was it. You know what? I'm done. My tone was calm now, almost quiet. I've spent 3 years watching you destroy everything we've built, watching you dismiss me, belittle me, treat our kids like obstacles in your precious career plan. I've made excuses for you, defended you, hoped you'd remember who you used to be. Jake, her expression shifted, the smugness gone. Tomorrow, I said firmly, I'm calling a lawyer. You can have your career, your client dinners, your superiority, but you won't have this family to disregard anymore. You're being ridiculous, she stammered, but now there was fear in her voice. Dad's right, Emma said, her voice steady and clear. You're not the mom we used to have. That mom cared about more than just herself. Liam stepped forward. At least Dad's here for us. You're just here for you. Julia stared at our children, her mouth slightly open, as though truly seeing them for the first time. But it was too late. The damage had already been done. The next morning I called a lawyer before taking the kids to school. In the parking lot, Emma reached over and squeezed my hand. We understand, Dad, she said softly. Sometimes love isn't enough if there's no respect. Out of the mouths of teenagers, they say. My 16-year-old daughter had perfectly summed up 18 years of marriage in one sentence. And she was right. Love without respect isn't love at all. It's just a habit. And habits can be broken. The divorce papers arrived at my parents' house on a quiet Sunday afternoon. I'd gone there seeking solace after Jake's announcement, convinced he was bluffing. He wasn't. This isn't working anymore, he said plainly when I called, his voice void of the warmth I'd always counted on. The kids will stay with me. You can see them whenever they want to see you. Jake, please, I begged, my voice cracking. I quit my job. We can go back to how things were. That's the thing, Julia, he said. We can't. You showed us who you really are. For the first month, I buried myself in work, treating the divorce like another project to manage. But then came the custody hearing. I walked in confident, armed with financial statements proving my superior earning potential. I walked out shattered. Emma wouldn't even look at me. Liam stared at the floor as he told the judge he wanted to live with his dad. When asked why, his response cut deeper than I thought possible. Dad sees us. Mom just sees herself. My parents watched helplessly as I unraveled. One evening after too many glasses of wine, I broke down in their kitchen. I had everything, I sobbed. A husband who supported me, kids who adored me. When did I become this person? When you started believing your worth was only in your paycheck, my mom said softly. There was no judgment in her voice, only sadness. Work, once my refuge, became my enemy. My focus slipped, deadlines passed unmet, and my drinking increased. 6 months after the divorce, I was called into my boss's office. Julia, we're concerned, she began. The same woman who had once praised my ambition now looked at me with pity. Take some time off. Get help. I didn't. Instead, I began showing up late, reeking of alcohol. 3 weeks later, I was formally terminated. My last conversation with the kids happened at Jake's house, our old home. I'd stopped by to drop off a few of their belongings I'd found while packing. We don't need anything from you, Emma said coldly. Liam stood behind her, silent but just as distant. I'm still your mother, I whispered. A mother puts her family first, Emma replied. You put your career above everything. Now you have nothing. She was right. In chasing success, I'd become a cautionary tale, a woman who had it all but lost everything because she couldn't see what truly mattered. 2 weeks later, I accepted a job in Seattle. Call it running away, but staying meant confronting constant reminders of my failures. The school I no longer visited, the soccer field where I'd missed every game, the house where we'd once been happy. The night before I left, I drove past our old home. I considered saying goodbye, but couldn't bring myself to stop. Instead, I drove away, leaving behind the wreckage of a life I had destroyed. They say success comes at a price. I never imagined that price would be everything that truly mattered. Some lessons come too late. Mine cost me my family, my career, and myself. In the end, I gained the world but lost my soul, and no corner office is worth that price.